Okay, so I guess we will start then. Welcome everyone to our VITO webinar today. We are doing a webinar on how to save at the right place with VITO. My name is Laura. I'm at VITO now since September last year. I'm a student here and currently in the export department. And with me joining today is Sina.
Welcome everybody also from my side. My name is Sina, also working in the export team. I'm with the company since 9 years and we hope you'll enjoy today's session. Maybe later today to mention, we will have a questions and answers session as well. So feel free to write any questions you may have during the webinar in the Q&A section, and then Laura and myself will answer them by the end of the webinar. And with that, Laura will get started.
Perfect. Thank you, Sina. So the agenda for today is firstly a short introduction about our company, the VITO AG. Then after that, we will present you the VITO oil filter system, our product line. After that, Sina will tell you something about the new feature VITO Connect, which is integrated in the new machine VITO VL. After that, we will talk about the frying oil testers we offer and a little something about sustainability with VITO. And like Sina already mentioned, we have a Q&A part in this webinar where we answer all your questions that you leave in the Q&A section down below. The VITO AG was founded in 2001 and the headquarters in Tuttlingen. Tuttlingen was located here in the south of Germany, near the Swiss border. And today we actually have 4 subsidiaries, another one in Germany in Hürth, then one in the USA in Chicago, another one in Italy, Santa Lucia di Piave, and in the United Arab Emirates in Dubai. We are specialized in frying oil management with our VITO oil filter system and frying oil testers. And we're also global market leader in portable oil filtration. Today, we distribute in over 150 countries, and VITO is used by over 50,000 kitchens all over the world. So let's start with some influences on frying oil. Your frying oil can be influenced by, of course, the food that is been frying in the oil, as well as the frying oil temperature is also a really big point where the frying oil can get older, so to speak. But we have also other factors like oxygen, dust, light, and also water. Water is, for example, from frozen food products, which you put in the frying oil. And this all can harm the oil and have influence on the lifetime of the oil. And we want to give our customers a solution for this process of the frying oil decreasing its lifetime with VITO oil filtration system. First of all, we offer the VITO oil tester as well as the FT440. These are oil quality measurement devices which measure the TPM value of the frying oil. Then we have the VITO portable filtration systems. We have 3 models, the VITO 30, VITO 50, and the new model VITO VL. They have 3 different sizes, so our customers can decide which device fits the best in the fryer. Then we also have the mobile filtration system. We have there are also 3 models, different sizes, the XS, XM, and XL. These are filtration devices for larger capacity of oil. And you can also store the filtered oil in these devices. The benefits of VITO are, as I already mentioned, you save up to 50% of your frying oil. It increases the lifetime of your frying oil, and this is why you can save frying oil. VITO removes the burnt particles in the frying oil, so you also have a consistent quality and taste of your fried product. And by using the VITO filtration devices, you can reduce the overall workload around the fryers due to less oil changes, for example. And since this year, we have a new device, the VITO VL. We changed the old device from the VITO 80 and made a new design. I have this device also here with me on my side. This is the VITO BL. Here we made a few improvements. For example, we have the cable holder. You can see here it's a really good way to hold the cable and store the VITO. We also have this yellow handle. Yes, the yellow handle. The new touch panel has also a new design, and the VITO Connect function, which Sina will present you in a few minutes. So how does the VITO, how do the portable devices work? It's really easy. So first of all, we recommend using VITO 1 to 2 times a day, depending on how many particles there are in the oil. So it's usually done after service, but in a really busy restaurant, it can also be done after a busy lunch service, for example. You place the VITO directly in the hot oil while assuring that the oil is between the minimum and the maximum part of the VITO. Then you press the start button and the VITO automatically filters the oil for 4.5 minutes and also stops automatically, which means that it does not need any supervision, and the kitchen staff can go on and do other tasks while the VITO does everything on its own, basically. So after VITO has stopped automatically, you take the VITO out and either put it in your next fryer, because the VITO can filter many fryers consequently, or you put it in the drip pan, which comes with the unit. So when the filter is full, which is about after 6 to 12 filtration cycles, it really depends on how many particles there are in the oil. But after it's full, you can just remove the filter, and then to clean the unit, you detach the electrical part of it. It's really easy by using the screws, and then put the other part with the drip pan and the filter box into the dishwasher or wash it by hand, either way. So the portable VITO devices work with an in-tank pressure filtration. We call this the VITO effect because the VITO creates a circulation in the hot oil, which allows the device to really suck up all the particles from the bottom of the fryer. And the oil goes through the device, and the oil is pressed through the filter paper so that all the particles can attach to the filter paper, and clean oil comes out in front of the unit. So that being said, with the VITO effect, I'm handing over to Sina.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Laura. With everything we learned so far on the VITO usage, I will speak now a little bit more about VITO Connect, what Laura already mentioned. VITO Connect is a function that's available on the new VITO VL that she was just presenting. One of the biggest challenges that we're facing with especially multiple location customers is how do we ensure that the kitchen staff is using VITO on a regular basis? Because like Laura already said, it's a daily filtration process. So we have to make sure the machine is used on a regular basis to achieve the saving results of around 50%. Now for major customers, we're facing challenges with monitoring, with logging of how often was the machine used, how to analyze when mistakes or errors are being made, quality assurance, and of course also communication time is quite high when you have to tell one shift we did filter to the second shift has to tell the next shift again. So we're trying to solve those challenges with VITO Connect by integrating that already into the VITO machine, so you can remotely track how often was the machine used and when was it used the last time. So here you see a summary of what VITO Connect can do. We're on the one side, we're having a cost control, we're having an investment protection, we ensure profitability, and of course also the return on investment can be achieved while the VITO is tracking its usage. It can create different reports, for example, that can be sent either to a cell phone or to different email addresses in order to see exactly how often was the machine performing. So one shift can check and see the VITO was used in the morning, so the afternoon shift knows we need to filter a second time during the day, for example. An analysis is possible through that. We have digital monitoring. We ensure efficiency of the usage and of course an active error analysis as well, because everybody can just log into the VITO Connect website and then see through the machine serial number exactly how often it was used, what day, what time of the day, and which date. Under the optimization point, we understand an individual control, of course, the quality assurance as well, and the VITO Connect is very, very easy to set up as well. The intersurfaces are very easy to use, especially the part that you use on your cell phone, but also the website where you can track the usage. Everything is self-explaining, so the owner can track on multiple locations, franchisees can track on multiple locations, salespeople can track on multiple locations, but an individual restaurant, of course, can also track a single machine through the option of VITO Connect. I was speaking already about different reports that we can create through VITO Connect. We have an example report here on the left side. Once the VITO machine is registered to the VITO platform, we can see exactly how many filtration cycles. Here in our example, 42 is the machine supposed to do per week based on the amount of fryers and filtrations per day, and how many did it actually do. So we see a target filtration cycles and the actual filtration cycles, and of course also the delta in between. In addition, we're calculating how much frying oil was saved based on the filtrations that were already performed, and also how many liters of frying oil we're expecting to save when we're at 100% of usage of the VITO. Based on the oil cost, we're also calculating what's the actual expenses that were saved. So we're translating the liters or pounds or kilograms of frying oil into a currency that can be changed, by the way, into euros, dollars, pounds, or any other currency that you would like to. The system is open there. So we see the actual expenses in currency or in money that was saved versus the expected savings that we're looking at when the machine is used 100%. And last but not least, on the right bottom side, we see the CO2 emissions that were saved, because VITO's the way it's saving on frying oil, saving on on transportation costs as well, on frying oil changes, but also on frying oil in general. And this, of course, reduces the carbon footprint as well. So it's also calculating that here, what it actually saves versus how much it can save if the machine is used its 100% target cycles. And then at the bottom, we see exactly the VITO machine with the location, target cycles, actual cycles, the delta, and then also the according savings that we're looking at. On the right side, we included a screenshot that you can see how is the Connect platform showing the information. Again, we see the VITO device, the location, the target cycles, and it's supposed to do the actual cycles, and then you see marked in red we're not exactly where we're supposed to. So this gives the additional quality assurance and effectivity aspect as well, to make sure and to control that the machine is used on a regular basis. The Connect platform can also be set up in a way that you get notifications sent if you want that, when the machine is offline, for example, or when it was not used for a defined number of days. And this, of course, also helps that control process once again to interfere right away when you can see the machine was not used. Benefit of all this, of course, is it's all remote. So from anywhere at any time, you can access those information and make sure the machines are in regular usage to achieve the expected savings and the expected frying oil cost savings as well. Why VITO Connect? Of course, this digital aspect of the VITO machine brings a good contribution to smart kitchens. We have a standard operation process control through VITO. We have different reportings available, like the one you already saw. When we have that function of controlling how often the VITO was used and then enforcing that it is used, we can protect the investment that the customer is making. We have an easy tracking, and of course, everything is done digitally, so you can access the information through the Connect platform or through a cell phone. That's up to the preference of the customer, of course. So much for VITO Connect. The next part I would like to speak about is the frying oil testers. Speaking of control, the testers are good for checking the frying oil quality. So we're also having a control process here in place to know exactly when it's time to change the frying oil. We have two different frying oil testers available. The right tester is the black and yellow FT440 frying oil tester, and the white one is the VITO oil tester. We offer two testers depending on the preference of the customer. In the end, they both measure the frying oil quality as well as the temperature of the oil. Why do we need to measure the frying oil? There's different ways of checking on frying oil, such as looking or smelling the oil, for example. But in order to have a really representative result and to have an unquestionable result as well, it's necessary to digitally monitor the frying oil. And this can be done with the tester. Like I said, based on the quality of the frying oil that the tester is giving us, it additionally gives us a light on the white tester in the display, like you see here on the slide. On the black and yellow tester, you see the light on the top of the tester. The light is a traffic light function. While the oil is good, it shows us green or yellow. When it's time to change the oil, the tester will change to red and gives then an indication it's time to change the oil. With that benefit, of course, we're never changing the oil too early or too late, only when necessary. So we're not wasting any frying oil, but on the other hand, we're maintaining a perfect quality of the frying oil and of course also of the fried products that we're cooking in that particular oil. On the right side, we see a diagram, which I think is also quite interesting and important to know that background. When we have fresh frying oil, we're not getting the best product out of the cooking oil because the fries in our example here are still quite pale. When we're using the oil for a little bit, we are in that optimal frying oil range, which is green and yellow in that case. This is when we get the best product quality out of the oil. And once we're exceeding that red line, we're having exhausted oil, the product looks burnt, it also smells burnt, and you can obviously see that the oil is exhausted. The limit when the tester changes to red varies country by country. We have certain countries such as India, for example, where there's laws in place that the oil has to be changed at 25% TPM, polar material, which is the quality of the oil. In other countries, we're looking at 26, 28. In Germany, for example, 24. This can vary a little bit. The testers that we're supplying from VITO Germany will be exactly set to your country's requirements when the tester is supposed to show red and when the oil must be changed. To sum up, by measuring the frying oil quality, we're maintaining the quality of fried products because we're not changing the oil too early or too late, only at the right point in time. It's an easy measurement due to the traffic light function, like I mentioned, green, yellow, and red. Everybody can understand that. The measurement is very, very quick. It happens in hot frying oil, same like the VITO filtration as well. You can measure multiple fryers one after the other. A quantitative documentation is possible. So you can write the numbers down on a HACCP list, or I already mentioned VITO Connect earlier. There's also possibility to digitally monitor or track the numbers from the oil tester within the Connect platform that we're providing. All common frying oils can be measured with the frying oil tester and gives a good overview and result on that. Maybe one more point going back to this slide here to mention, bringing the VITO and the tester into connection with filtering on a regular basis. We're stretching that optimal frying oil range. So we're maintaining the tester longer within the green and yellow section, getting a better frying oil quality and a better product out of the oil, and of course save like that on oil. So filtering on a daily basis will maintain the oil for a longer period of time, so the oil will be exhausted at a later stage and then also needs to be changed later in time once the tester shows red. So that oil life is extended like that, and you gain additional days. Good. Then summarizing, VITO and the tester were significantly increasing the lifetime of the frying oil by filtering and of course also by testing. We're looking at an improved quality and taste of fried products. Any burnt particles are being filtered out, therefore they don't stick to the fried goods anymore, and also the end user in the restaurant can see that on his plate how well the oil is taken care of. We're having a very fast, easy and safe handling with VITO, but also with the frying oil tester. The usage can be tracked on the VITO, of course, through VITO Connect, through the platform and through the cell phone as well. But the tester also, the FT440 in that case only, you can also track how often it was used. It also has a tracker built in, so you can see exactly how often were measurements performed. The filtration takes exactly 4.5 minutes in the fryer and stops then automatically. Like Laura already explained earlier, no supervision needed. You can literally do something else in the kitchen while the VITO is doing its job. We're having a significant reduction of cleaning effort since we're changing the oil less often, and any burnt particles are already removed from the frying oil. With that, we're having a daily clean frying oil. We're saving on labor, time, and cost, of course. We're saving disposal costs as well when we're changing the oil less often. And all of this contributes, like I already mentioned, to an active environment protection, which I believe Laura will speak about a little bit more. So I would hand over back to Laura.
Thank you, Sina. Yes, so the active environment protection within VITO is another one of our benefits that we have with our products. You can reduce your carbon footprint with VITO, which is shown here in this image. It starts with the production of VITO, which consumes very little amount of carbon. And by filtering the oil daily, you can save up to 50%. And this also leads to a reduction of over 2.5 tons of carbon over 5 years' time. So this is just one of another, one of the benefits of VITO, besides the savings of 50% of your firing oil costs, as well as the constant quality of your fried products and less workload around the fryer. Then I would like to move over to some of our references we have. Here you can see some of our customers that are already benefit from using VITO on a daily basis. And you can recognize different fast food chains, hotel chains, but also casual and fine dining restaurants. And yeah, this just shows that we have a large range of customers. As I said in the beginning, VITO is used in over 150 countries, and we have more than 50,000 different types of kitchens, that use VITO and benefit from its advantages. And yeah, this is all the information from our side now. And now we move over to the question and answer part of the webinar. So feel free to put them in the question and answer segment of this webinar, and we will answer any questions you have.
I think we already have some questions, Laura, in the chat section as well. Maybe we start with those.
Yes,
and then
we can
please,
start with those.
Any more questions for our audience, put them into the questions and answer section, then we can read them a little bit easier.
So I can read out the first question, Sina. What is the main difference in the FT440 and the VITO oil testers? Both measure TPM and the temperature. The FT440 has a light indicator on top, while the other has a color on the screen.
I can take the answer for that question. Maybe I go back to the slide so we can also have a look at both testers again. Just a moment. All right, so these are the two testers that we do offer. Obviously, the design is different on both testers and the light indication is in different places as well, like you already mentioned. They both measure TPM quality of the oil as well as the temperature. Both can be set up in different ways. Both have a sensor at the bottom as well. When you have a very close look at the picture that you see here of the FT440, there is an additional metal around the sensor. So the sensor is a little bit better protected on the FT440 than on the VITO oil tester. An additional benefit on the FT440 is that it can be set up for different very specific kinds of frying oils in order to make the measurement even more exact than if you would use the standard settings on the frying oil. Like I also mentioned, it has a tracker. How often was the tester used, which is a benefit for a controlling point as well. Both testers are run on battery. The FT440 has a round lithium battery inside, similar to what you have in a watch, just bigger. And the VITO oil tester uses AAA batteries, 2 of them that you can exchange yourself. Aside from that, there's a bit of a price difference between both testers. The VITO oil tester, due to its design and maybe a little nicer handling, is a little more expensive than the FT440. And this would be the main differences on both testers. For heavy kitchen operations, we normally recommend the FT440 when staff tends to not take care of equipment that well or is not that well trained in a fine dining restaurant with executive chefs and sous chefs and well trained staff, the VITO oil tester also works perfectly fine. In the end, it comes down to the preference of the customer and what he or she is willing to invest. I hope that answers the question on the testers.
Okay. So the next question, the VITO VL can be connected through the computer and reading can be recorded. Is it connected also with VITO headquarters to keep the record and for further advice?
Yes, the information is recorded first on a cell phone. If you connect a cell phone to VITO, so you can use a cell phone as a transmitter of information. But in addition, it's also sent to a VITO Connect platform. You can access that online at connect.vito.ag. We can also send that over to you once again. So any machines that are registered on that Connect website can be accessed, and the information are being recorded for the one who is entering the machine, for the customer, and also for the VITO head office for further information or further support that you may require.
And one other question, if we can send the presentation by email, of course, we can do that after the webinar. All our participants get the certificate as well as the presentation and the recording, I guess. Yes. Okay.
Here we have a question. If we can send a dealer price list, sure, we can send those information. If you send your email addresses in, we can certainly do that, no problem.
Another question, I guess this is regarding the oil testers again, Sina. Is this value differ with the oil temperature?
Very good question. It's not, or it shouldn't be, unless something is done incorrectly. Important is that the testers, the VITO oil tester measures in a range from 40 degrees Celsius up to 200 degrees Celsius, the FT440 within 50 to 200. If the oil is colder than that, it will not give a reading. If it's hotter than that, it will also not give a reading. So we would recommend to always measure at the same temperature to have representative results, because there may be little influences due to the temperature, but they're very, very little. So in the end, the temperature does not have an influence on the measurement itself.
And another question concerning the FT440, if it has cycle tracking.
Yes, if you can, if you do access the menu of the FT440, there is a counter, CNT it's called in the tester, or you can see how often a complete measurement was performed with the tester.
Next questions. Our fryers are having a capacity of 360 liters and with a depth of 2 to 3 feet. What is the optimal filtration device you recommend for us?
Also a very good question. Depends a bit on how the fryer is also built. So additional pictures in a follow-up would be good. Generally, there's two options to filter fryers like this. If they're quite shallow, like you say, 2 to 3 feet, you may work with the VITO VL, the biggest portable device next to Laura, in different positions of the fryer. So one filtration obviously is not enough due to the size of the fryer. The alternative would be one of the mobile devices, in this case, the VITO XL, which has a tank of 120 liters. With that, you can remove the entire frying oil from the fryer, filter it through the filter that sits on top, and then return it afterwards. In a size of 360 liters, that process would be done 3 times with an additional tank to store the oil in between, but that would be a possibility as well. In a follow-up, I think we can discuss your particular setup once again.
Then who are the major customers? Maybe Sina, you can skip over to the reference
Sure.
slide again. So here you can again have a look on our major customers: hotel, restaurant chains, fast food chains, but also, yeah, like I said, casual, fine dining. Yes. Okay. Then another question: can we do the filtration with 70 degrees Celsius?
In theory, yes. But of course, what we always have to keep in mind, the VITO is a continuous filtration. The more liquid the oil is, the easier the filtration. So with the 70 degrees Celsius frying oil, it will be hard for VITO, and the filtration result is by far not as good as if you filter in hot oil, which recommended frying temperature is around 175 degrees. So we will certainly get a much better result when the oil is really hot and very liquid, rather than having it cold as 70 degrees Celsius. So we would definitely recommend a higher temperature.
Okay. Next one: what is the warranty policy? So I can take this one, Sina.
Mm-hmm.
For our VITO devices, it's 12 months warranty, and for the oil testers is 24 months. What is the difference between coolant filter and oil filter?
I can take this one. So this one here is an oil filter webinar. We have two business units within the VITO company. One is cooking oil filtration, so everything about fryers and fryer oil filtration. And we have a second one, which is industrial filtration of coolant, lubricants, and watery solutions that's used in the manufacturing industry, such as in CNC machines, for example. If you're interested in more details there, we can certainly speak about this in a follow-up. Plus, we will have a webinar about the coolant filtration tomorrow. So if you check our social media channels, you can register for that as well. And we'll have a similar presentation just about the other topic of VITO if you'd like to.
Okay, for VL connectivity, there's any software required, and would it cost additionally? So no, there's no additional software. You just need your VITO, of course, the your iPad or iPhone or any smartphone with Wi-Fi. Then you connect it via the Wi-Fi, and you can register on a website which is called VITO Connect. If you want, in a follow-up, we can also send you some details for the VITO Connect, how to register and how everything there on the website works as well.
So everything is built in already, basically.
Yes.
All in. It's really a plug and play system, the VITO VL, with the filtration, but also with the connectivity.
Okay. So let's move on to the question and answer section. We have one here. Please suggest VITO models for large volume industrial fryer, online industrial fryer.
It depends a bit how big are the fryers. So I think in that particular case, it's quite difficult to give a recommendation. Certainly the mobile models are more prestige for big industrial fryers, but it would be good if you share more details on your fryers, then we can give our suggestion which machine will work best for you.
Okay, there are a few double ones. Here is a new one. Are there way for filter work with magnesol?
You can use VITO with Magnesol if you like, but it's not necessary since the filter paper of the VITO is fine enough to also remove the particles without any additive. So it's not no additional additive is required for an effective VITO filtration. It would just cause double cost. But you can, of course, use it if you want to in combination with VITO, but it's not needed.
Okay. Okay, just another one in the chat. If we can send the link for the industrial filtration webinar tomorrow for the coolant, we can do that. Yes. Okay.
I think all the other questions are double about VITO XL and bigger oil capacity. I think at this stage we're done with the questions you asked. If there's any additional questions our audience may have, we will follow up with you. You will get, like Laura said, the certificate sent, the presentation sent, the recording sent, and some of you that were asking for it, of course, also the link for tomorrow's VITO Coolant Industrial webinar. And then in a follow-up call, we will speak with you. And then, of course, feel free to ask any more individual questions that you may have. And then we can also give you more detailed feedback and recommendations for your particular setup. With that having said, we would like to say thank you for participating. Today we have here all our contact information. Once again, phone number, email address, and also the VITO website. Feel free to also follow us on our social media channels. You find regular updates on upcoming trade shows where VITO is participating, but also on webinars that we're doing. So if you like to find the link for tomorrow, you can also access through our social media channels. Otherwise, we can also send it by email. Thank you very much from my side. We wish you a nice afternoon and we hope to see you at one of our coming webinars.
Thank you very much for participating, everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.